So here we have Honey Saver, and I really, really like this horse. He is such a cool dude. This is a 16 one-hand, 8-year-old thoroughbred gelding by Super Saver out of a Mr. Prospector mare. So just super, super well-bred horse. And it's funny that I sort of have two of these horses in the same situation at the same time because it so rarely happens. But sort of similar to the mare, Magic Election, who I was talking about the other day. This horse has not ran since, or I should say, has not run since October 1st of 2021. So it's been about 4 years since he has come off the track, and he came off the track without issue. He actually came off the track and was still a stud, and he had a couple of babies for his connections, and I've seen pictures of them, and they are absolutely adorable. But they decided to then get him gelded, so he is firmly a gelding, and he has been for at least a year now. So it's not like it's brand new, but obviously, he was a stud for a little bit longer. So what I will say about that is he's fabulous. The horse is absolutely perfect to handle on the ground. He's a total love bug. Just working with him here on a day-to-day basis, you would never think that he was ever a stud. But I'm told from his connections that he is more squealy than your average horse. So, when you introduce him to new horses in a turnout situation, he's going to squeal probably louder and longer than your average horse would. But he is not aggressive at all. He's certainly not showing any studdish tendencies other than some probably prolonged squealing. But all that being said, he does get over it. And when Billy went to pick him up, he was turned out in a huge mixed herd, babies, mares, other geldings, and obviously was living very comfortably and happily in that setting. So he is perfectly fine. You can turn him out with any horse, mare or gelding, but you just have to be aware of the fact that it might take him a couple of days. You might have to put in some earplugs because I think the squealing is probably a little bit extra. But other than that, he's such a good dude. And to handle on the ground, like horse human relationship, he's absolutely perfect. And he is not studdish or pushy or, ornery, bullish in any way whatsoever. In fact, he's actually just like a completely lovable pushover. And I adore having him. He's been fun to work with. So, similarly to my mare, who I was riding the other day, this is his first ride in about 4 years, which is just absolutely wild. And he is so quiet and so easy to ride. This is like a totally sort of token amateur friendly, who wants like a steady Eddie type of horse. Obviously, he's still a bit green and rusty considering, well, he's 8 and he just had 4 years off. So, so obviously he's a little rusty and he needs some miles and buttons installed and all that kind of thing. But it's really hard to imagine this horse ever putting a foot wrong because he sort of went around like almost like a packerish horse on his first ride in 4 years, which is just absolutely ridiculous. And nope, no lunging or anything on this day before this ride. No, I did lunge him, I think, 2 days before the ride just to let him see the ring and see how he would react to having equipment on him and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you, lunging him is actually a really painful experience because he's so quiet that my arm was hurting from having to like wave the whip around so much to try and get him to move forward. So don't recommend lunging this horse. So he has a beautiful neck set, and he obviously is super soft, wants to be round, really cute little mover, great canner. The only thing I'll pick about him and in for his ride, and I can't even believe I'm not picking at him. I mean, obviously, when you have your first ride in 4 years, you cannot be, a seasoned trained horse coming out the gate. So of course, there's going to be some things he needs to work on from the start. A little bit of leaning on the outside shoulder, actually, interestingly, more so to the left than the right. So the right was easier, so we went that way first, which was the little bit that you just saw. Then we took a walk break. We went back to the left, and I actually spent quite a bit of time just in the walk, getting his shoulder straight, especially getting that right shoulder straight around this corner. And I'm not saying I was 100% successful. I wasn't, but he made a lot of good progress in 5 or 10 minutes working at the walk. And he's not doing anything obnoxious. It's just totally like he just has not been asked to do this in a long time. So, of course, there's going to be some little things that just need to be polished off and straightened out. And so the shoulders is one of those things. But he is such a genuine horse, such a trier. I mean, he obviously, like, he's just looking for the contact all the time, wants to use himself super correctly. And just really, he is such a genuine horse. And his personality on the ground matches how he is to ride, just absolutely to a T. On the ground, he just stands like a statue when you put him somewhere. When he came, he was just covered in botfly eggs, and I'm not, blaming anybody. Sometimes, I get all the eggs off of a horse, turn them out, and they come in the next day again covered all over again. They're so annoying. But he was particularly covered, so it was like the second day he was here, he was eating his grain, and I went out there to try and get all the botfly eggs off, and he just literally stood there like cemented to the ground and let me get up, in all the little crevices and between his legs and everywhere to get the botfly eggs off, and he literally never even twitched a muscle while I did that. And it took forever, and he didn't know me or where he was at that point. He was just so kind about it. And I decided right then and there, when I was crawling around underneath him, scraping fly eggs off, that I really liked him. So interestingly, with his shoulders, the left was a little bit harder than the right. But actually, the canter, he found the canter the easiest to keep his shoulders straight. And I think that that's because the way that I found that worked the best for him to help him figure out, to understand what I was asking, was actually just sending him forward. So I think I actually had him a little jazzed up. So as you're watching this clip of him to the left, just know that this is him like going. This is him with me putting quite a bit of pressure on and a ton of leg. Certainly I'll be using some little spurs the next time, but this is jazzed up Honey Saver that you're looking at, because I'd just been sort of picking on him about the shoulders for the last couple of minutes before we started this clip. So he is definitely erring on the side of extremely quiet and amateur friendly. And so obviously this is him on the ground getting tacked up to ride, and this is literally him all the time. I mean, he is just the ultimate sweetheart. I find him very lovable and very kissable. I think he has the cutest face. He has a big old Roman nose. And if you're looking at his feet like I am, just know that we will be getting them cleaned up and putting some shoes on them this week. He is fine barefoot, obviously. I mean, I rode him in the video barefoot, but I just feel like he probably would be a little bit more comfortable coming back into work with a little bit of support on those front feet. So I'm going to have my farrier put some front shoes on. Obviously, he'll stay barefoot behind. So yeah, this is him. He's just a big red sweetheart.